I've dedicated my life getting young people to pay attention to the AIDS epidemic in our community for over 20 years. I have done this by working at GMAC, the Hedrick Martin Institute, doing social marketing campaigns with the HIV Starts With Us and me, and also through television with MTV for the youth. I was a virgin when I was infected with HIV in 1986. I was 14. Things were different in 1986 for people living with HIV. I was told that I would die within 2 years because that was the reality of AIDS in the 1980s. But I knew in my heart that I would survive with HIV and that my heart was the key to my survival. Living with HIV made me want to express myself. And that's when I discovered photography and painting. None of those are mine, but I also like to paint eyebrows and eyelashes. I was introduced to the house and ball community in 1988 as a part of the House of Gonzalez. The ball scene has been around since the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s. It evolved into this network of houses governed by mothers and fathers. The ballroom community was created by people of color as a way to celebrate their talent and express themselves in a safe space, almost like a fraternity. I was lucky to have two influential house parents in my life who have inspired me to be compassionate, supportive, and active in my community. My house mother, Avis Pendalvis, and Hector Xtravaganza. I watched my mother, Avis, she was a wonderful person. My activism began watching her in 1988. She was taking care of one of her own children. And so, I remember when I came into the apartment, I had no clue. It was my first time meeting her. And she said, why don't you go next to the next room where she kept all her garments because she was known for creating her own outfits. And they were very elaborate and huge. And so she said, why don't you go visit your sister in the next room? Her name was Foxy Pendalvis. And so I thought she was, I'd never met her before, so I'm gonna meet my new sister. So she was laid out, and that was my first vision of somebody dying of AIDS. And so that changed my whole world, because something inside of me wanted to live, It was only 2 years that I've been living with HIV, so that gave me the confidence to want to do things for people that needed that same nurturing that Avis was giving that one girl. So I started to mentor and work with young people, and I've dedicated my entire life to working with young people and helping them and give them that leadership. There's a bunch of kids here that I've seen grow, and it's a beautiful thing. Like what Hector said, family is very important. I probably won't ever have my own children, but my children are in the room. The gay community was devastated by AIDS as a whole, but within the house and ball scene, AIDS was easy to notice because we're such a small social network that it was easy to notice, the devastation that it was giving the ballroom scene. Communities of celebrated figures were now dying in silence. The house and ball scene is all about image, beauty, and talent, so people were not talking about AIDS openly. So I stood up and became the voice for HIV and AIDS. Since 1989, I have seen hundreds of my own peers and friends die due to complications. But I've also seen my friends and peers thrive and live wonderful lives. Today I continue my journey by living large enough for all of my brothers and sisters that are no longer with us. While our lives will never be the same, We must not forget to laugh, support, and help, and have strength to want to care and live. I knew in my heart that I would survive with HIV and that my heart was the key to my survival. Thank you so much.